Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, so quarantine was a time, right? That kind of goes without saying. Quarantine was it was definitely a time for all of us. I was still in school when quarantine hit and I had nothing to do at home, as did, most people. And I'm a writer, right? That's my main hobby. I love to write, but I had too much time on my hands. So I decided that I was going to write something new. I was going to start a whole new project and it was going to be something big, something crazy, something I had never done before. Now it was also, I believe, 2021. And so I decided that what I was going to do was I was going to write a musical, right? Now, I don't know why I thought that I could write a musical. I have very limited musical knowledge, but for some reason, I thought that I could write a full length musical. Now, I've written a play before, I've written multiple plays. So I was like, okay, I can do a musical. It's just a play, and then they're just going to sing sometimes. But I didn't know how to write songs. So then I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a jukebox musical. Now, I don't know why I wanted to write a jukebox musical. I don't even like jukebox musicals. I feel like most people don't. But I was like, this is it. This is going to be my big break. But I needed to choose an album. I knew that I wanted it to be one cohesive album to tie the whole story together. What album did I want to do? The only album that I was playing on repeat at that point. And that album was Sour by Olivia Rodrigo. I love that album. I still love it. I actually listened to Guts yesterday. I still love Olivia. And in honor of her new album coming out, it's called um You Look You Seem So Pretty. What? You seem pretty sad for a girl so in love. That's what it's called, I think. I think. And so in honor of her new album coming out, we are going to go through my notes of my failed attempt at writing a sour musical. So I have my tablet here. I'm going to pull up the document. And just as a disclaimer, I literally have not read this since I wrote it in 2021. Like about a month or two ago, I think a month ago, I happened upon the document and I was like, why do I have a whole folder called sour? And so I open it and I was like, oh my gosh, it's my musical. Like I completely forgot about it. So I like was kind of skimming over it and I was like, oh, this is absurd. But I didn't read all of it. So I'm going to read all of it now and we're going to go through it and we're going to laugh and cry together. Okay, so there's two documents in this folder. There's plotting the show and there's show idea vomit. I don't know what each of those mean. I don't know what's the difference. Oh, I see, I see. Okay, so the show idea vomit is just an idea vomit. It's just me just putting down every single thing that I was thinking. And the plotting the show is like a breakdown scene by scene of what happens. So that makes sense. I was kind of cool for that actually. I didn't finish the planning the show, but it looks like I did finish the show idea vomit because it says the end. Okay, let's jump into this. I have no idea what's happening. Okay, so we start, and I say, so I'm thinking the show follows 3 of 4. So we start off with a typo. So I'm thinking the show follows 3 or 4 high school couples who are just going through it. I'm thinking maybe 2 straight couples and 1 sapphic one. The sapphic one would probably sing either Happier or Traitor, but I'm thinking Happier would work better. Wait, why? Why would it have to be the sapphic one? Is that are those songs like queer coded? Both of the songs were about Joshua Bassett. So what clocked to me in my head that was like, these are lesbians. These are lesbians singing to each other. And then I said, ooh, then maybe we could throw in a little pining where one character is in love with another, but that character has like a significant other. Wait, that's kind of peak. That's kind of peak. Maybe that could be a guy loving a guy with a girlfriend. Okay, I have it. So obviously, I actually, because I myself have a very queer identity, I've always made it very, very important to me to have queer characters in pretty much everything I write. This is funny though. I was like, we're definitely having a gay couple and we're definitely having a sapphic couple. Like right off the bat, like first paragraph, I was like, yeah, this is my priority, which is actually very funny. I'll give myself points for that one. So I said, so one, oh, so these are the couples. These are the couples. So one is just like your typical straight couple going through a normal high school breakup. One was like a secret relationship type thing, still straight, but one person finally couldn't do it and went public with someone else. Oh, they didn't like being hidden. The sapphic one was messy and very, very public, and they both kind of have gotten with other girls just to spite their exes. The gay one The gay one is the pining one I was talking about, where one guy is distantly in love with another guy who has a girlfriend. Okay. So those are our couples. That's the basis of the show. I didn't want to center it, I guess, on one couple. I didn't want all the songs, like all the songs are so different. It would be difficult to make it all about the same couple or the same breakup, unless it was about Joshua Bassett. I don't know. So I mean, it would make sense for the show to follow the album in order, which would mean Brutal would be our opener. So that would be a company number where everyone would probably have like their own line saying how much their lives/school sucks, which honestly same. Then we would transition to the actual high school setting to start the show. Sure, fine. Brutal being a company number. That's actually kind of funny. Trader introduces the unrequited love story between Guy 1, Caleb, and newly taken guy, Dean Withers, who's dating fancy girl Jessica. Okay. In Caleb's mind, he and Dean have been dating for 3 years since the beginning of high school and have a comfortable life together. To him, Dean dating Jessica feels like a personal betrayal. But the thing is, Dean doesn't know Caleb exists. Caleb sings Traitor and pines. Right, right. Because that's definitely not delusional at all. He thinks that they've been in a relationship for 3 years. I feel like I shouldn't have worded it like that. I think I should have done it as more of like a he he's been in love with him for the past 3 years, not he thinks that they have a comfortable life together. That's absurd. Then we move on to meet our basic couple, Monica and Justin. Why are they basic? They were happy for nearly a year, but then found out they were too incompatible to ever really work and eventually broke up. It was tragic since the two were meant to be like the school's it couple. I'm like going down like trope land. This is absurd. I've always been so angry with like shows and movies and stuff always following the same tropes, like especially in a high school setting. Like one that always pisses me off is like when they have like the new kid and they walk in and everybody's like, "Who's that?" And it's like there are 2,000 kids at this school. You do not know that one singular new person. You don't know every single person in the school. It's ridiculous. I remember like middle school, we all were like crazy about this one new kid, but it was because he had a British accent. And so people would walk up to him and they would be like, say this. And then he would be like, aluminium. Like if they're not making waves, you're just going to be like, whatever. It's just a person. But anyway, there is no it couple. There is no it couple. No, because you know what? They're probably going to end up being one of the like popular kids. But the thing about the popular kids is it's like everybody knows that they fit into like the popular kid stereotype. And like low key, they know that those people perceive themselves as such. And then it's just kind of corny. Like, I don't know. Like, I remember there were kids in my high school who like would fit into like the popular kids sort of narrative. And everybody was just like, ew, like you really think you're that cool? Like, I remember the very, very last day of high school. This is a random tangent, but the very, very last day of high school, my friends and I, we all realized that we were the losers of high school. Like it was absurd. It was the day of our senior sunset, and somebody had posted on their story some like party, and it looked like the parties in the movies. And I was like, because I've never like been to a party like that. And it was like everybody was like all up against each other. It was like dark. There were like strobe lights and like all this kind of stuff. And I was like, what in the world? I was like, people actually go to this? Like people like that actually happens? Like I didn't know. And everybody had like the red Solo cups and everything. And I was so shocked. And then my friend was like, yeah, they have these like every weekend. And I was like, dude, I was playing Minecraft every weekend. I did not have time for all that. Not that I would have ever been invited, but I was like, I didn't know that was a real thing. I thought that was just like a thing that people say. Again, like the new kid trope. I thought that it was just a thing. Anyway, the two were meant to be the school's it couple. We need the "you're never satisfied" line somewhere in their breakup. Hamilton. Monica sings driver's license, self-explanatory. We'll figure out the blonde girl line later. Then we see our sapphic couple, consisting of Gemma, who's Caleb's friend, and Xavier. That's a cool name. At this point, they're still together, but they're experiencing harsh relationship issues due to the hate they're receiving for being one of their school's openly gay couples. Gemma wants to go slow, but Xavier isn't afraid of being herself and wants the same of Jenna. This is rough for them both. And I said rough like R-U-F-F, like a dog. And it's leading Xavier to shut down a bunch and be kind of rude when Gemma wants to slow things down. Not be totally private, exactly, but not completely rainbow eyeshadow and pride flags in Insta bios. Oh, that just sounds homophobic. Wait, Gemma sings 1 step forward, 3 steps back. Sad. Sad. Little interlude here, but Gemma suggests that to get Dean's attention, Caleb needs to try to run more in Dean's circle. Caleb eventually does this by getting with Monica. Was he the gay one? Yeah, he is. So he's just with this girl to get Dean's attention? Oh, this is messy. Caleb eventually does this by getting with Monica, who's popular like Dean. We then learn she was only trying to get back at Justin, which is tough. But I guess it's okay because Caleb's using her too. Smiley face. Okay. All right. What is happening? I was too jolly for that. Slightly out of order, but whatever. Monica was friends with Xavier since childhood, but once she came out, they grew apart. Monica regrets it and wishes she'd been more supportive of Xavier, but fears it's too late. She contacts Xavier and tries to reconnect with her, but things end up going badly as old wounds arise. Old wounds arise? A wound doesn't rise. It would be like as old wounds reopen. Monica blurts she only called Xavier to help her with her Justin problem, not become friends again anyway. What? Oh, so then she gets salty and then pushes her away. Okay, that makes sense. Xavier is hurt and leaves, and Monica is left alone. To top off her failure, Justin posts a picture of him with that blonde girl, who he still claims is just a friend. Am I smelling happier? Monica grows closer to her breaking point and sings Deja Vu. Oh, that makes sense. Because she's like, oh, you're with somebody new. Like, I bet, like, you get deja vu. It's easier to air her relationship frustrations than to deal with what happened with Xavier. What Xavier wanted to say was that she and Gemma had finally broken up. Oh, no rainbow eyeshadow. Now we gotta transition to our final couple, the private duo. I put it in little tildes, I don't know why, which is Sawyer and Jessica. What? Do I know who Jessica is? Isn't that a new name? Oh, wait. Dean is with Jessica, and Caleb wants Dean. I'm gonna need to draw like a graphic for this because this is complicated. Just Sawyer and Jessica. Yeah, that's right. Jessica was the one who used to be in a secret relationship, which means she and Dean are a new development. She used to be dating this guy named Sawyer, but ultimately left him after his lying and toxicity became too much for her. They were initially secret because Sawyer was not the kind of guy that Jessica's parents would approve of. And after time passed, Jessica learned why. They run into each other in like a grocery store or something. Okay. And argue a ton until Dean shows up and tries to defuse the whole situation. I've always been confused about that. Is it defuse or diffuse? I think it would be diffuse. You would diffuse the situation because you're like doing away with it. But defuse is like defusing a bomb. I mean, I guess you could say that if you wanted as like a metaphor, because it's like, oh, this is like a time bomb that's about to go off. Like, let me defuse it or something. I don't know. After watching Jessica ushered away by her new man, Sawyer sings Good For You. Oh, I see. Okay. This is probably where Caleb and Monica get together a little. So yeah, that was out of order. I don't know why I wouldn't just copy paste it and move that whole paragraph. Now Monica is with Caleb, and is getting kind of schemy. Her opinion of Justin is starting to change. She's still pissed at him for lying to her about his new bestie and wishes he dropped the act and just finally be so for real with her. But the thing is, she doesn't even want him back. She just wants his honesty because she kind of blames herself for them breaking up and wants a reason to believe it wasn't just her, it was also this external girl. She tells us all to a friend, maybe Jessica, and ends by singing Enough for You. Oh, wait, that's sad. She blames herself. No. Caleb enters soon after, and Monica has to wipe her tears and act all happy to see him, even though there are like zero feelings there mutually. After Gemma and Xavier's breakup, they've gotten with new girls and tried increasingly to make the other jealous. It's kind of counterintuitive, actually, because it turns into more of a competition, which only increases the gap between them. But behind all the venomous insults and angry DMs, they really just miss each other. They both sing happier to each other, all wistful and stuff. If only the other knew. Frowny face. Caleb and Monica go to a party together. The party scene. I actually know what I'm talking about there because I always think it's really funny how in musicals about young adults or especially high schoolers, there's always a party scene. There's always a scene where they're just at a party grooving and stuff. For example, in Heathers, it's big fun. In Mean Girls, it's Whose House Is This? Be More Chill, it's Halloween. Oh yes, I'm a big theater kid, if that wasn't already obvious by the fact that I was writing a musical. Okay, so Caleb and Monica go to a party together, the party scene. Dean is still there with Jessica, who's being stalked by Sawyer. Okay. Of course, Justin brings his quote unquote friend, like Shelby or something, and Monica is on edge. Caleb keeps trying to get close to Dean, but Monica won't let him ditch her. Caleb has a mini introspective panic attack and sings jealousy, jealousy, like in his head in the middle of the party. Okay. Jessica is trying to avoid Sawyer without drawing Dean's attention, but the whole thing ends in disaster when Sawyer tries to close in on Jessica and she freaks out and like knocks something over onto Caleb, who's finally noticed by Dean, but not for a good reason. Caleb freaks out and runs, and Monica finally puts two and two together and storms out after him. So he gets something knocked over onto him, runs out because he's embarrassed, and she's like, "You're gay? What? What?" Gemma and Xavier have been there the whole time, and Xavier gets drunk and runs to Gemma crying. Gemma confronts her and listens to her rant about her new girl, and the two confess their true feelings. Gemma admits she broke up with her new girlfriend a week ago, and Xavier broke up with hers just before the party since he didn't want to have to hang out with her all night. Ooh, I'm writing some villains, bro. The two leave together, and Gemma promises Xavier a soft pillow and a hangover cure. That's sweet. I like that. Outside, Monica and Caleb talk things over, heatedly, lol. And Monica accuses Caleb of lying to her about his true intentions, saying she's had enough of that. Caleb retorts that he hasn't been entirely honest either. Turns out he heard her crying about Justin and figured she was just trying to get back at him. She tells him she wasn't, not really, and that she was only really trying to show him that she can move on too. Caleb points out that those two are basically the same and she's still technically using him, and Monica breaks down. Those two are not technically the same, but Caleb helps her calm down and tells her he'll ask Justin about Shelby. Since the two of them have gotten closer, he's sure Justin will tell him. Monica is appreciative, and Caleb offers to drive her home under one condition. They both agree to be completely honest with each other. With that, they break up and leave the party as friends. Wait, that's actually sweet. So they were honest with each other, and then it worked out in their favor. I think a lot of people could learn from that, me included. Meanwhile, Jessica finally escapes the party with Sawyer pursuing her. In all the chaos, Dean loses her, and Jessica is alone and vulnerable. Jessica runs, but doesn't go far before Sawyer catches up with her and grabs her arm, clearly drunk and very vengeful. He finally tells her everything he's been feeling lately, with the loneliness and the pain and the insecurity, and eventually says they were meant to be together or something. He forces a kiss onto her, and she shoves him away, yelling that this is the reason they shouldn't be together, that he doesn't know how to take no for an answer, and he was always forcing her into situations he knew would make her uncomfortable. Add in all the lies and manipulation she went through, and their relationship was borderline abusive. Dang. She tells him all this in the form of singing favorite crime to him. We were finally getting somewhere. We were finally getting somewhere, and then she's singing Favorite Crime. Okay. Then finally realizes how much Dean has done for her and her healing process and calls for him. Sawyer tries to silence her, but someone comes to intervene, maybe Gemma and Xavier, and they save her from her misery. I know that's supposed to be a reference to something, probably a song, but I can't remember what it is. They tell Sawyer to go back to whatever hole he crawled out of and offer Jessica a ride home, which she takes gratefully. Together, the three head home. The next morning, Monica comes to crash the three's little slumber party at Xavier's house with the intention of apologizing and setting things right with Xavier. She apologizes for her words and explains she was wrong about Justin the whole time, with which Caleb confirmed. Who even are these people? I'm so confused. Like, as I'm reading, I'm like, who is who? She said she let it drive her kind of crazy and she's sorry for causing Xavier pain. Xavier shrugs it off and invites her to join them, and the four of them enjoy each other's company. Meanwhile, Caleb is on his routine trip to this like film store to buy more film for his camera. Sure. I think this was probably me being like, I guess I didn't really characterize him aside from him being gay. I probably need to give him like a hobby or something. Oh, okay. And he runs into Dean, who is apparently also into photography. Sure, Caleb freaks out and tries to hide, but Dean sees him and asks if he's okay after the catastrophe at the party. Tyler catastrophe? Caleb is super freezy. Okay. Then notices Dean's camera and they strike up a conversation about that. Over the span of like 3 minutes, Caleb realizes he doesn't really know Dean at all and is contented to just be his friend. Wait, that's kind of sweet. So after like 3 years of pining after him, he's just like, wait a minute. I look, he don't even know you like that. And we get like a sort of ending scene. Why am I writing like this? I put so many likes with all of our characters in their respective couples. Gemma with Xavier, Dean with Jessica, maybe Justin and Shelby. But we don't like Justin and Shelby. Monica and Caleb together platonically, all in some metaphysical diner. Metaphysical diner? What does that mean? Is this magical realism now? What are we doing? And then I put metaphorical? No, beyond physicality. It breaks the space time continuum. Guys, who knew Olivia Rodrigo's music has the power to break the space time continuum? This new album is going to be out of this world. They sing Hope You're Okay, I guess. I don't even understand how I tied this in without being weird. So it's gonna be weird. Oh well. Basically, like they all sing a half a verse and it jumps around the couples a bunch. So they all get their like final words and it's super nostalgic and stuff. I thought this was gonna be a trash finale, but looking back, the only other song that would be good for the finale is Driver's License, and that's only good for a sad show. What? How would Driver's License ever possibly be a finale? Because you said forever, now I drive alone past your street, and that's the end of the show. At least this one ends on a wistful note, which is happier than you said forever, now I drive alone past your street with like a face. Because it's 2021. And then I put the end with a smiley face. Okay. That's the show idea vomit, which basically I just wrote the whole show. So I'm kind of confused what even plotting the show has. So I have like a little character bio for everybody, which maybe I should have done this first. And then like I said, plotting the show, I didn't even like finish the document, and it's honestly really long and it's just kind of rehashing everything that I said before. So I'm just going to like read things that are just absolutely absurd, that like I have no idea why in the world I wrote it like this. These character bios are actually pretty good. Maybe I'll put like a screenshot or something, because it's like, I don't know, they give a lot more depth to the characters. So you can tell that I try to make them a little bit more than one dimensional, which isn't bad. And then I put their like grade levels as like S for senior, J for junior. So I started, and for scene one, it says the show Sour, I guess. So yeah, the show is called Sour, which is really original. I put a lot of time and thought into that, and I'm actually like really proud of it, because I was like, like everything about this, it's just not like sweet, like it even like the ending, like I said, it's like bittersweet, like it's honestly more bitter, like a lemon, like
oh my god, bro.
sour. That's how I came up with it. That's how I came up with that name. I think that's really creative and stuff. And I put the bell rings and everyone gets moving and we get our dramatic da na 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 or whatever, and everyone sings it together. They're singing the da na na. They're doing it a cappella. Oh, brother. Okay. Caleb probably gets the last line, kind of dazed looking out into the distance. Then the bell rings again and he hurries off to class. Got a broken ego, broken heart. God, I don't even know where to start. So he just says that. And then he's like looking out and then runs off to class. Son. I put Caleb is in his room all dejected. Poor Caleb. He's like the real victim of this story. Well, he is, and then also Jessica is, because she was in an abusive relationship. And then also Gemma and Xavier because they're at their like homophobic school or something. And then also Monica because like Caleb was literally with her to use her. I guess Justin and like Shelby are kind of the only people that made it out of this like unscathed. And Dean, I guess. Dean is fine. Oh, I put some dialogue. I said Caleb is in his room all dejected. He rants to himself about he and Dean were supposed to have a future together. What happened to blank and blank? We were supposed to do all that, weren't we, Dean? Weren't we? No, we weren't, because you've never said a word to me. You don't know I exist. Oh, that's bad. Then slumps onto his bed and sings Traitor. Holy teenage angst, bro. You've never said a word to me. You don't know I exist. Enough. Enough. Okay, I said for scene 4, it says now we're back to Caleb, who's outside in like a park with his camera. He mutters to himself that none of this matters because Dean is taken and considers smashing his camera. Are we serious? Are we serious, bro? He probably has an expensive camera if that's like his main hobby. If you're smashing your camera because the guy that doesn't know you exist is taken, nah, you gotta go to therapy. Maybe he was tagging along on a date with Gemma and Xavier. They enter and see Caleb kind of freaking out, and he tells them what's bugging him. It's at this point that Xavier's like, if you want him to notice you, you need to run in his circle. Get your head out of your camera and talk to him. And Gemma's like, but he has a girlfriend. And Xavier's like, details. Sorry, that sounds like me. I think Xavier is me. That's so funny. Then we have some sort of dialogue, symbolic dialogue about Xavier being like, if you just really put yourself out there and be yourself, people have no choice but to be drawn to you or whatever. And Gemma's like, but what if it's difficult to be yourself? What if you're scared people will reject you? And Xavier's like, you can't live in fear like that. You have to take the risk. You could be wasting your life in the shadows for nothing. And Gemma says, but what if it's safer in the shadows? And then Caleb is like, are you talking about me? And they're like, what? Oh, yeah, go for it. Gemma and Xavier share a look, then find an excuse to leave Caleb again. Poor Caleb. This is about Monica singing driver's license. And I guess it says she waits until some lady leaves the bathroom before staring at herself in the mirror and finally letting out all her frustrations in the form of driver's license. Maybe we can get a little comedic by breaking up her song with people coming and leaving the bathroom. Okay. At this point, Dean and Jessica are having a good moment or whatever. And then it says, oh, this is when they go in for a kiss and dun dun dun. She gets a DM from Sawyer. Why did I say dun dun dun? This is just so corny. It says Sawyer appears to confront Jessica and she's like, ah, Sawyer. And he's like, hey, yo, why haven't you been returning my texts and calls? Why would he say AO? And then scene 8, which is actually supposed to be scene 9, just says now. I remember how much thought I put into this, like figuring out who was gonna sing who's like which song and like in what context and everything. And I was like pretty proud of it. And I was like, this is going to go big. Like I'm gonna have to contact Olivia and her team and see if I can get the rights to use these songs in my musical. And then we're gonna have a jukebox musical like Jagged Little Pill, but without all of the like transphobia and like drama in the cast. And then everybody's gonna be shocked. I thought I was gonna have the kind of musical where people are like, I hate jukebox musicals, but Sour is the exception. Like how people say about Mamma Mia. But no. No. Okay, so all in all, that's my musical. That was Sour. That was Sour by me. I wrote Sour. Actually, that was very scary. I honestly might reread some of my old writing on here because I did actually write an entire novel over quarantine. Who knows, maybe I'll go over it someday. Not the whole novel, obviously, that would be absurd, but like some parts of it, because like low-key some parts of it, like I look back and I was like, wait, I wrote that. Like because it's like actually really bad. But you know, everybody starts somewhere, and that's where I started. That's it. Okay, I don't have an outro. Bye.